Welcome to I Drive Craft. I decided to go out for a drive in the craft. I'm bringing you with. I had taken the Impala out this morning and I made a video. And in typical new at this, I don't know what I'm doing fashion, I forgot to turn on the microphone. 45 minutes worth of video, totally useless, no sound. It happens to everybody. I have some time this afternoon where nothing's going on. So, well, I'm going to go for a drive. So here we are. Not sure if I want to stay on the back roads, maybe get on the highway. I really have not decided. Looking like it's going to rain. In the days of my trucking career, people would ask about, have you watched the weather? Most of the time, no, I really didn't. Why? It didn't matter what it was. I had to deal with it. Period. End of story. Might snow, might rain. I would have pretty much everything I needed for any of that with me or nearby. It just didn't really matter. So I think I'm going to go up here and maybe hit the highway and put on 40, 50 miles. I'll go almost to New Jersey. Not into New Jersey, almost to New Jersey. Who actually wants to go to New Jersey? Not me anymore. That's not true. There's a museum over there I want to go to. It's an antique truck museum, which that's not a bad ride. Go and check that out. Looks really interesting. Museums around here, they're okay. There is a classic car museum out in Hershey, AACA. They usually have a nice selection. And one of the full-time displays they have is Tuckers. They have a lot of Tuckers. That's always very interesting car. What would have happened had that company made it? The things that he built were very innovative, and out of the 50 or so that he built, or that were built, a good portion of them are still around. Using the acceleration lane to accelerate. Another Honda Civic passing, got the big exhaust on it, makes me giggle. Now we're sitting in the right lane, we're doing our double nickel. This one doesn't have a fuel economy gauge on it, doesn't tell you your estimated miles per gallon. I always check it during the Phillips. Last tank was about 32. That was all wintertime, highway, or not highway, city. I averaged 32, 33, somewhere in that range. Being out on the highway, this is going to do much better than that. Should be 40 plus. This little car, it's a little loud. I would have preferred it had cruise control. This is very basic Honda Civic that was pretty much meant to get used up and thrown away. Well, here it is, well over 20 years, over 250,000 miles, and it's still plugging right along on the interstate just as well as anything else. It's not vibrating all over. It's a little loud because of the openness in the cabin. In a cheap car, they don't get a whole lot of sound deadening. If you can deal with things like that, then it's not a bad way to go. Can we pull the hill in fifth gear? So far, yes. Really should have put super in this. We are getting some detonation. I added some octane booster. It does not really seem to be doing the trick. It's funny, right lane's probably doing about 45, middle lane's doing 55, left lane is doing over 70, which is why we have accidents on this hill all the time. When somebody comes out of the middle lane that wants to do 50, and the people doing 55 get out into the left lane, that speed differential is what gets everybody. Now we're going downhill, and there generally is accidents going downhill here also. Trucks trying to take the curve at the bottom too fast. Cars that were seeing the trucks doing 40, 45 up the hill now can't deal with them doing 70 on the downslope. My philosophy, driving crap, also extended to my time behind the wheel with the tractor trailer. I had a 2000 Volvo, which it had a very small Cummins ISM in it, 10-speed, 279 rear gears. It was not the fastest truck. Since it was mine, I did remove the blocks off of it. I don't think in the entire time I owned that truck that it ever went much over 65. I used to go from the warehouse of a manufacturing plant to the manufacturing plant. The distance from one dock to the other was from 1 mile to 1.6 miles, and that depended on which end of the warehouse and the plant that you were going. With that truck, I used to basically put in 30 gallons worth of fuel a week, whether I needed it or not. That particular truck, when I bought it, it was an old Interstate Brands truck, which was your Hostess brands. After they had filed for bankruptcy, everything went out to auction. A dealership bought it. I bought it from the dealer. Since it was very small motor, day cab, Volvo, nobody really wanted it. So I managed to score a running, driving tractor for $10,000. I brought it home, got it together, and proceeded to run it for about 2 years until the company I was with lost the contract. That becomes a problem when it goes out for bid. They're not looking for who's the best or who's giving reliable service. They're looking for who does it the cheapest. When the new company comes in and bids the work, there is the overall company, the agent that basically owns the work, and then you have me. Well, they bid the work below what I was getting paid by a considerable amount. That doesn't even begin to put in the overall company and the agent that were basically getting their cut off the top. That's what happened there. Not a big deal. That's just business. Happens every day. Through the economy of scale, some places can afford to do that. I parked that truck for about 6 months, got a company job. The other work that I was getting offered with that truck just did not fit the truck. Going from a little bit of distance with a small motor day cab running gross, I did not have the truck for it. Going out, running heavy through the mountains, no engine brake, didn't make sense. It didn't pay. I got a company driver job and did that for another 7 years. Had enough, got out of the industry. Now we're just seeing what else to do. The last time that I had enough of the industry, I had sold cars. I didn't do too bad. Started car sales. They're not really looking for anybody to sell. They're looking for you to bring in everybody you know and sell them a car. I really wasn't interested in doing that. Plus, I am not a fan of going in. It doesn't matter if you're doing the best for somebody. The reputation of that industry, it doesn't matter what you do, people will not like you. It was not really the industry that I wanted. I love cars. I do not tend to like the game. In the cars that I have, and when I get cars, I try not to waste people's time, which is if you're going to make a deal, then have the money. Be able to pay for it, or be able to follow up what you say you're going to do. That generally is the way that you will get a better deal than the next guy, because when I go to sell, I'll price it reasonably, and then if you do, or just have a bottom dollar figure, then your deal makers decide that, oh, you're desperate. You'll take less than half of that basically fair deal. It's at that point that I either say, have a nice day and walk away, or many times I'll give it very cheap or free to a friend that I know that can use the car and that also understands what you deal with a very cheap car. I've had many people that I have literally given cars to and heard, you screwed me. Well, how did I do that? If I gave you the vehicle, you could take it to the scrapyard and make money. How are you the one that got screwed? I don't want to deal with it, which is how I've gotten a bunch of cars, by people not wanting to deal with the general public. Another tip, buying, driving very cheap cars, you know what you're getting. You are pulling the pin on a piece of ordnance. It may go off in 2 years, 10 years. It may go off in 10 minutes. It may go off in 5 minutes. You just never know. If you are buying it at a price, then you have no room to cry or complain at all. This car right here was a trade with a friend and had it blown up fairly quickly afterwards. I have nothing to complain, and it would not have affected that friendship in the slightest. Now, had the vehicle that I gave the friend had serious problems, then I would have done my best to make it right. That being said, if a car is free, well, in the words of Bricktop, if I'm giving a dog a bone, I don't care how it tastes. The main thing is, if you buy a very cheap car and it explodes, the motor goes, or tires just aren't very good, and there's things you need to fix, well, you bought it at a price that you can do that. It still may be ugly. It's up to you to make it reliable, or at least do your best to try. Personally, I do not hold it against anybody if I am buying something cheap if it has issues. Now, by all means, if there's something wrong, then I would prefer that you tell me so I know what I'm getting into, or at least have a good inkling. I understand sometimes people don't know things that are going to go wrong, and nobody has a crystal ball for their car. I really do not understand that people who will get a $500 car or have a car given to them and expect a brand new car. I'm not that entitled. Funny story, I had a minivan. I got it. I really didn't need it. I had a friend that he was going and cutting some lawns, didn't have a second car. What I ended up doing, I gave him that vehicle. Was it great? No. It was an early Chrysler minivan. Wood grain sides, rust, ugly. But it ran, it was inspected, did what it needed to do. He would load it up with the mowers, put yard waste in it. I mean, he did crazy things with that van because it just didn't need to be an everyday car. It needed to get him to work occasionally, and it just needed to work. I think it lasted 6 months, 8 months before the transmission started making very bad noises. When he had first gotten that vehicle, he had asked another friend of ours, "Hey, is this safe to put my kids in?" I giggled. My friend looked at him deadpan, joking mind you, and said, "Well, mark the fire exits." I thought that was funny. But he got about 6 months, 8 months out of it. The transmission started making very bad noises. There was no point to try and fix it. We drove it to the scrapyard, got scrap prices at the time, and it turned out to be, I think it was $368, might have been a little more. He got 8 months of use out of it for insurance, registration, fuel. When he turned it in and sent it to the scrapyard, he got all the money that he had paid back for having that car and doing the miles on it for that amount of time. Cost him zero, other than gas. That worked out, and I always try to, cars that I drive, I just try not to lose on, or at least not lose a lot. What I mean by not losing is basically getting out of it what I have in it, or at least getting out of it what I paid for it. Generally, that's usually pretty doable. What else do we want to talk about? I don't really feel like talking about trucking right now. We talked about that this morning when I didn't have my microphone on. I will say, at least in my area, that the courtesy that there once was out on the road is effectively gone. I don't understand the need for cutting people off, the brake checking, people just acting like there's no tomorrow, no consequences. I'm out of that game now. The other thing about your highway courtesy, we're now going up a hill, trucks are passing, so I flash to let them know it's safe to come back over. So far today, I have not had not one, say thank you, not one. That's not just because I'm in a car. A lot of times, they don't say thank you, even if you're in a truck. That was always common courtesy. Guy flashes the lights to let you know you're passed. Flip your clearance lights, your four-ways, just to say, hey, thanks. Good looking out. Glad you were, in hand. Not anymore. But you know what? Even though that happens, that does not stop me from flashing every time, because someone else's bad behavior should not dictate yours, and it should not change who you are. There are people that are just black holes. Doesn't matter what you do, it just falls into nothingness. It's hard to help people like that, or try and help the next person after dealing with somebody like that. You just have to remember that not everyone's like that. There might be 90 people out of 100 that are, but you're doing it for those 10 that aren't. They really appreciate it. And there we go. Flashed Brookledge over. He said thanks. No tailgating, no cutting over. Those are usually pretty decent. When you haul horses, more or less have to be. People expect, the horse he said expects a little bit more service than somebody that's hauling, say, chicken wire. We put about, I'd say a little over 40 miles on the car, just in an aimless little drive. Right now we're running on the other side of the mountain, kind of in the country. There's some houses, a lot of cornfields, not as many as there used to be. Right now, just a nice little winding back road. The area is getting much more green. Outside temperature is very nice. More and more motorcycles coming. One of these days we'll have to look at some of those. A lot to talk about with those. What do you think? Up over the mountain? Around it? I think we'll go up and over. This particular stretch of road, my father had bought his first Volvo, and it had been warm, drizzling all day. At night, it got cold. All the wetness had frozen. The ground was still soft. That tree on the side of the hill was very heavy and ended up uprooting and falling right on the A-pillar of the car. 4 people in the car, all 4 of them walked away. This particular vehicle, I don't have to worry about that. Is it unsafe? No, not by any means. Would it stand up to a very large tree falling on it? Probably not. But now we're just keeping the car in a lower gear. In fact, I think I might downshift another one. There we go. So we're using the engine to brake us going down the hill. Once we get into town, I will use the brakes a little. So far, this is a better than 8% grade. This is the first time I'm braking coming down the hill. And I want to maintain 35. I let it creep up to 40, and I just gave it a little touch to the brake to bring it down. Now we're coming into the 35 zone. I'll give it a little more again. Now we're down to about 33. It'll keep it there. It's actually slowing down to 30 at the moment, and that's good because I'm coming up to a stop sign. That's not bad at all. Ooh, Ghostbusters is playing. I saw it already. It was still a good movie. I enjoyed it. I liked Afterlife a little better. Frozen Empire wasn't bad. I'm happy and satisfied with what they've done with the franchise. That was a very large wing on what looked like a very slow Subaru. I am a very large fan of sleepers. I don't have anything particularly fast at the moment. Everything I have at the moment is almost excruciatingly slow. That does not matter. At this present moment, I don't need anything super fast. I'll get the itch, I'll get something else. Right now, if I really want something loud and obnoxious, don't need it, don't really have the time or the storage. Well, I do have that. I will make a video of it eventually. That particular fine vehicle, 1978 Harley Shovelhead. It is pretty nasty for a Shovelhead. 5-speed and a 4-speed case, jockey shift, suicide clutch, 8-inch risers, 24-inch ape hangers on top of that. There is a 3-inch open belt primary with no guard. That self-clearance is my pants. If the pants that I am wearing are too loose, it will yank on the end until that particular part is not there anymore. We went out for a drive. Glad you could come along. Despite the best efforts of others, we made it back safely. Have a good day, and until next time.